Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 3 tier list. With everyone at home during these trying times, a bunch of tier lists have been popping up on Twitter from many different Dragon Ball FighterZ pros. But why have all of these well-informed tier lists when you could watch a YouTuber's opinion? This is probably the hardest time there ever was to make a tier list. The addition of selectable assist has made characters so much more versatile than before, whereas previously you'd have a character who was clearly meant to be a point character and someone else who was clearly meant to be an anchor. Now you can just go nuts, especially if you take C assists into account. And on top of it all, there are no offline events anymore. Dragon Ball is just played online, and the tier list for online is very different from the offline tier list. Super Noon made an online tier list, and as you can see, not all the top tiers are exactly what you expected. I'm also a big fan of those bottom tiers he made up. But still, I'm gonna do my best and make an offline tier list for the first patch of Season 3. Luckily, you don't need a tier list to know which place is the best for getting anime threads. This video is sponsored by Kaioken Clothing, the online shop with tons of streetwear and cosplay options inspired by your favorite anime shows. And of course, Dragon Ball has a huge collection of items for you to choose from. If you want to feel a bit more unique, check out their Remix collection, where they take concepts from the characters you know and love and tweak them a bit, giving them a new original look. All the designs are made by Kaioken Clothing themselves and are exclusive to this store, and the best part is that shipping is completely free worldwide, but you also have the DHL Express option if you want to get those clothes faster. On top of that, you enter promo code Globku at checkout and you get 10% off anything you purchase. Thank you, Kaioken Clothing, for sponsoring this video. Shoutouts to all the tier lists that have been making the rounds these past few weeks. They really served as a great starting point for me. So thank you to Alyun, the 9 French players who worked on this one, which included Wawa and Kane, Goichi and Fenrich, Tachikawa, Aqua and Mado, Nokami, and Cloud805, who did his tier list very recently. Oh, and should I shout him out too? Sure, why not? Shanks, your tier list was hilarious. Thank you for that. I needed it. All right, let's start with the basic tier list layout. This season, more than ever, characters are super balanced, which means we're gonna have less tiers than before. So we're only working with S tiers, A tiers, and B tiers. There's really nothing below that. But because we have a lot of characters to talk about, we're gonna split the A and S tiers and give them that little plus sign to distinguish the top tiers and the really high A tiers. So starting at the bottom, the B tiers, I absolutely love the fact that we only have 4 characters down here. They really didn't touch Videl this season, so she mostly keeps her place from last time and everyone else has climbed up. 17 and Jiren got a few tweaks that made them better. They used to be C tiers, so they've definitely been buffed, but they could get a bit more love. And Blue Jita, I feel like he's super close to being a really good character. He's just missing something. Replace that Big Bang attack with something more useful, because he's got really good normals, solid mix, but he's missing that extra that every other character has. These 4 could definitely use a little buff next patch. That said, you look back at Season 1 tier lists, and the B tiers were still super viable. And I want you to keep that in mind, because even though they're all the way at the bottom, they're still B tiers. Moving on to tier A, yes, that's most of the cast right here. This is a good sign. It's a sign of a balanced game. I'm definitely not going to talk about every character on this tier. A lot of them are pretty much the same as they were before, but now with new assists, they are a bit more versatile and not as useless when out of the stage. Krillin is a great example. One of the biggest improvements this season with the beam assist, obviously. He's now extremely solid. Super Saiyan Goku fell kind of hard purely because of his 2M nerf. It's so awkward to use now, but even if you get used to it, he's got no lows. His mix-up has suffered a lot. Not that he relied on it 100% of the time before, but now we really don't have anything to be scared as far as high-low mix. I don't really get why people were talking about Gogeta like he was the worst character now. I mean, I understand the theory, just haven't felt it yet, maybe. He feels like a solid character like most of the cast. Nappa is kind of scary now. Once he touches you, you gotta block some pretty incredible setups that lead to a 2-touch kill situation, but to do that, he does have to touch you first. But hey, at least he's not bad anymore. And I guess we should talk about Kefla since this is the first time that she is on a tier list. Kefla definitely has some great neutral tools, and she will destroy you online since it's really hard to react to that low or overhead in the block string, but offline that's reactable, so you'll be fine. She does keep you blocking after every sliding knockdown, so there's that. Oh, and I forgot to mention the tiers are actually ordered, so within the A tier, I believe Kefla is the strongest character of them all. At the same time, I believe Videl is the worst character currently in the game, but like I said before, the game is super balanced right now. The differences between characters and their placements are really minimal, so if you want to swap Goku for Krillin, for example, I honestly wouldn't even argue against it. I think it could go both ways at that point. Shall we move on? Yes, we shall. A+, led by Broly all the way down to Gotenks. Let's talk about it. Broly is such a damage machine. He converts into huge damage from places most characters can't. And his pressure, albeit full of holes, is super scary because you never know when a grab is coming out. And you cannot jump out of his pressure, which is the go-to when you play against grapplers. You read a grab, you jump out. Guess what? Broly grabs you out of the air and then he murders you. The holes in his pressure, though, though are gonna keep him from climbing higher because it's kind of risky to go for a lot of his stuff. 21 got a lot of changes, but I think the character is pretty much just as strong as she was before. I don't think the changes she got made her definitely better, but it definitely made her easier to play, except her second assist makes her work with a lot more teams now, so she climbed a bit on the tier list. Ginyu is ridiculous. There's currently a bug where you can mash a button to tech Dragon Rushes. Blue Vegeta also has that, but to be clear, I did not take that into consideration for this tier list. It's a bug, it will be fixed. It would probably be tournament illegal. I do think it's funny though that a character that is essentially invulnerable to Dragon Rushes has a touch of death off of a Dragon Rush. Plus, with a regular level 3, he's now got most of the tools that everyone else has, making him a really strong A tier. Regarding Majin Buu, of course, Alyun had him put at S tier. All I see is tech. He's got so much tech. He seems so strong on Twitter, but until I see this guy taking a tournament, I'm not a believer. Sorry. And I think everyone else over here is pretty much where you expect them to be, though I do see a lot of folks placing Zamasu at S tier. I mean, he is a touch of death machine, but S tier? Moving on to the real S tiers, Adult Gohan, oh man, they nerfed those legs. They did, didn't they? They're still crazy strong. This character is super technical though. Online, he wouldn't be this high on the tier list, but he's got crazy good normals, crazy good damage, decent mix-up. I really think he's the highest S tier on the list. Maybe Base Goku could challenge that position though, as he's also got crazy damage and the fastest command grab in the game that he doesn't need to delay in a block string. You could say that he lacks the traditional level 5 and that makes Gohan stronger, but I also think he makes that up with his 2 awesome assists and coming out of the bench with a Spirit Bomb. Between these two, you guys pick the best S tier. I think Trunks is a bit overhyped right now. The EX flip is awesome for conversions and it looks great. Don't take me wrong, I love me some EX flips. But it's not the godlike mix-up tool that everyone's making out to be. I see an EX flip without assists, I'm jumping. I got cross-up protection, I got high-low protection, and you're lucky if you don't whiff that EX flip and get punished. That said, good damage, great Oki, but his mix lives and dies with sparking. Goku Blue's biggest buff was getting a B assist. The character was already very good and now he just works with a lot more teams. Oh, and how could I forget? EX moves. EX moves cost half a bar now, and all of his EX moves are great mix-up options. And then we got Goku GT and Cell. They both kill you super easily, their damage is ridiculous, they are TOD machines, and then Goku has some crazy EX moves that just win the neutral, and meanwhile Cell has a frame 1 anti-air and really good mix. And now folks, for the top tiers. For the first time ever in the history of Dragon Ball FighterZ, we have 7 top tiers. I mean 13 if you count the entire S tier rank as well. Remember the times when we only had 4 top tiers? Back then people were asking, hey, just buff everyone. That's exactly what they did. Let's start at the bottom of S plus tier. EX buffs really affected both Frieza and Yamcha. They got some awesome neutral abilities for half a bar now, which in Frieza's case means his zoning is actually scary now. And on top of that, Golden Frieza? Yeah, no one's dealing with that. Teen Gohan is pretty much the same. He was a top tier before. They nerfed his auto combo sparking pressure. It's not a true block string anymore, but you're still plus. It's still a decent mix. Kid Buu was also nerfed very slightly. They removed that really cheap mix-up with medium light light in the air. Now the light attacks whiff if the opponent is crouching. Thing is, that's still an incredible mix. It can be reflected, but you gotta know that Kid Buu's going for that, and he's got so many other options. So he's mostly the same in my opinion. But the top 3 on this list all got some really good buffs. The number 3 character in the game currently is Broly. He's the same top tier Broly we saw in the finals, but now he has EX moves that cost half a bar. That EX choo-choo train, it might as well be a DP that is also safe. Best stagger pressure in the game, incredible zoning, incredible damage, and probably the strongest character currently in the game if you're playing online. The other 2 are definitely stronger offline. Bardock is also largely unchanged, except he now has the best assist in the game. That B assist is so getting nerfed. Tracks full screen, the amount of hit stun and block stun is ridiculous, and he didn't even have a bad assist before, so now he's just an even better character coming out of the bench. And finally, the strongest character in Season 3 right now is Base Vegeta. Crazy good neutral with his awesome normals and ki blasts, 50-50 mix-ups, loops that lead to insane damage, and one of the best meter building characters in the entire game. Hands down, best point character in Season 3. And while on the bench, his assists aren't bad. Nothing special, but they're still okay. And that brings us to our first Season 3 tier list. It definitely feels like a fresh game with Season 3. So many characters became viable because of the assist select change, and some of the reworks really shifted the character's place. Frieza is definitely the biggest winner of Season 3, and I'd say Goku Super Saiyan is probably the biggest loser. Well, at least he's got some good looking threads on Kaioken clothing. Don't forget to check them out, link in the description below, and don't forget that promo code for the 10% discount. How much did your team change in Season 3? Is it better now than before? Is it worse? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you next time. Bye.